What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. What's good? What's good? What's good? What is good? How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Everyone good? Let's get these comments in. Let's get these comments in. So, guys, Errol Spence, confident he knocks out Manny Pacquiao. What do you guys make of it? What do you guys make of what he has to say? Errol Spence, confident he knocks out Manny Pacquiao. Let's get those comments in, guys. Ulla Media UK, what's going on, brother? I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Let's get the questions. Let's get the questions in. Let's get the questions in, guys. Let's get the questions. Let's get the questions in. Right, okay, so Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence. Who you guys got? Errol can do it. Yeah, we know Errol's the favorite going into the fight, so he's the substantial favorite, a big favorite, so to speak. I'm good. Spence needs to be careful. Manny is smaller, but no pushover. Yeah, he's definitely smaller, but for me, it's a 50. Yeah, I think Darth Vader said it's really a 50-50 fight. I think it's more 60-40 in Spence's favor. But yeah, it's a really good fight. Really good fight. Really good fight. You know, a fight that could go either way. Guys, everyone in the live stream, if you can smash that like button, I'd appreciate it. You can smash that like button, guys. Yeah, it's definitely a 50-50 for me. 50-50, 60-40 in Spence's favor. I would say, yeah, 60-40 in Spence's favor. Spence is the substantial favorite. But, you know, you can't count out Pacquiao. You can't count out Pacquiao. You know, as Ulla Media says, he's no pushover whatsoever. He's no pushover. This is a tough task, and probably the toughest fight in Errol Spence's career, without question for me. Toughest fight in his career. And it's a fight that I think could go against him as well if he's not fully prepared, fully switched on. Because Manny Pacquiao, like I said, he's going to be coming. He's going to be coming. So this is by no means an easy fight for either guy. You know, it's a tough fight for both men, not just Pacquiao. It's a tough fight for both guys. Both guys. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it. Jay Bouquet says Manny dominates when it comes to bigger opponents, plus experience. Yeah, he is experienced. He's got a lot of experience. I don't know whether he's going to be able to dominate Errol, though. It's going to be hard to dominate Errol. But again, it's a great matchup. Oh, to gain the perpetual weight, Billy. 0 to gain for the perpetual weight, Billy. What do you mean by that? Mortality fatal. What do you mean by that? Also, this fight kills the Spence Crawford fight. Yeah, I want to talk about that. If Spence wins this fight, then I don't think the Crawford fight happens. I'll tell you why. I think Spence becomes such a big star. His pay-per-view numbers will be off the chart. He'll say it's not 50-50. He'll say, I want the bigger split. And there's no way that, you know, Crawford is going to agree to anything less than a 50-50 split. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think that will put the Crawford fight for me would be dead. I can't see the Crawford fight happening. Guys, everyone in the live stream, if you can smash the like button, I'd appreciate it. Smash that like button. So no KP says, I'm going to say this. Adonis Stevenson in his prime would have beat Ward, Kov, Batabayev once that left hand lands good night. Possibly. Stevenson was a good fighter, very good fighter. He had an explosive. He was an explosive puncher. His left hand was very, very dangerous. It came out of nowhere. You could probably say it was probably the second most dangerous punch. Take away Wilder, of course. Wilder's right hand is probably the left hand of Pete Stevenson was probably after Wilder. It was that vicious and that dangerous. Holly Inferno, how are you, brother? I don't think Spence can win on points against Pacquiao, but Spence can stop Pacquiao by round 10 while losing on points. I got Pacquiao, but taking the over. Spence can win on Spence. I don't think Spence can win on points. I think Spence's boxing ability is underrated a little bit. However, I do think if Pacquiao is going to win, it's going to be on points. I don't think he's going to knock Spence out, and I do think that Spence could potentially stop Manny Pacquiao, but it'd be late. But if it does go the distance, I do favor Pacquiao slightly, if I'm honest with you, just because I think Pacquiao for me is the better. He's better at winning rounds, and I think he'll be able to win the rounds. But some people think that Spence is going to be able to outbox Manny. I'm not sure. Okay, Ula Media says, UK says, Spence hasn't been troubled to date. Question is how he react if it happens. Manny have beaten and been beaten and KO'd before. Well, Spence has been troubled before. I would say the Porter fight, he was troubled. I'd say the Brook fight, he faced adversity. He definitely, in the Porter fight, was very close. The Porter fight was very, very close. That fight could have gone either way. Some people thought he lost that fight. So I say he has been troubled. I'll definitely say he has been troubled. He's been troubled against Brook. He had moments of danger in that fight. And I'll definitely say against Porter, he was troubled. 100% in Porter fight, I definitely felt he was troubled. So, yeah, I disagree with that. I think he has been troubled. I definitely think he has. Let's get those questions in, guys. Let's smash the like button as well. Get those questions in. Okay, no KP says, Teofimo by KO inside 6. If George Kambosos can take it and has a high work rate, Teofimo might struggle towards the end because I think Teofimo really struggling to make weight. I honestly, I think this is a good fight. I think this is a fight that's going under the radar. I don't think people are giving it much attention because of all the big fights that we've had. But I actually think this is a very dangerous fight. I think this is a great fight. I do. I think this is a fight that's going under the radar. I certainly do think this is not an easy fight. I think it's a tough fight for Lopez. I do favor him by late stoppage. However, if Kambosos takes it to decision, I do think Kambosos can outpoint him. Whether he'll get the decision, that's another thing. But I do think this is a lot tougher than what people think. Kambosos can really fight. He impressed me when I saw him against Lee Selby. He did impress me when I saw him against Lee Selby. I ain't gonna lie. He looked good. He looked good in that fight. So yeah, I definitely think he could be a problem. I definitely think he could be a problem. How's it going, Mario Gonzalez? I hope you're well. Hope everything's good. So Holly Inferno says, will this fight be for the lineal title, Pac v Spence? Well, I'd like to think so, yeah, because it's for 3 belts. I'd like to think it is for the lineal title. I think whoever wins this should be regarded as the best welterweight. However, they got to fight Terence Crawford because a lot of people think Terence Crawford is the best welterweight. So, I think the obvious fight would be after this will be Terence Crawford. However, I do think if Spence wins, it's going to be hard to make. I think if Pacquiao wins, it's an easier fight to make. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pacquiao jumps in straight to a Spence fight. Pacquiao jumps in straight to a Crawford fight if he beats Spence. And there's no rematch clause in this, so that's another good thing. So if Pacquiao was to beat Errol Spence, there's no rematch clause, and he can go straight into a Crawford fight. I do think if Spence wins, I do think it's going to be a lot harder to make the Crawford fight. Mario Gonzalez says Spence is too young and too slick for an old Pacquiao. Possibly, you may be right. You may be right. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. I think this is a very, very good fight. Mortality Fatal says, win for Manny. Should he lose? Okay, but we're too poor. Where he to pull it off, the rhetoric of his legendary status is further enhanced. Spence is the one under pressure, taking this as opposed to Crawford. Yeah, Spence is under pressure. Spence is under a lot of pressure because Spence has to look good. He has to dominate. If he looks bad, then people are going to say, oh my God, an over-the-hill Manny Pacquiao made him struggle. So Spence is under pressure, without question. Lopez KO mid, probably a right hand. Yeah, Lopez has got very explosive right hand, very dangerous right hand. And when he hits you, you know about it. He's very, very explosive, Lopez. So yeah, that could well be the case. Okay, and OKP says I just can't see it. Tiafimo not landing clean. Yeah, he's fast. He's got an explosive right hand. Marlo Stanfield says, "What's up? How are you? I'm good, brother. How are you? Hope everything's well. Good to see you here." There are a lot of Pacquiao fans picking him to beat Spence. If Spence wins, do you think those same fans will use the 2-year layoff and Manny's age as an excuse? Well, 100%. The fact that Manny's what? How old is he? 42 years of age. Of course, that's going to be used as an excuse if he loses, because he's not in his prime. So, that's what I'm saying. Spence has got everything to lose. Pacquiao's got everything to gain, because if Pacquiao wins, his legendary status goes through the roof. If Pacquiao was to lose, then people are going to say, well, he beat up a washed up Pacquiao. So Spence hasn't really got a lot to gain. What he's got to gain is profile, and obviously it'll be his highest payday to date. So that's what Spence has got to gain. But from a credibility point of view, Spence hasn't got a lot to gain, because if Spence beats Pacquiao, people are going to say Pacquiao was past his best. If Spence looks bad or gets beat, then people are going to say, oh my God, he just got beat by an over-the-hill Pacquiao. He's a hype job. So Spence hasn't got a lot to gain from a credibility point of view, but from a profile and financial point of view, he's got a lot to gain. So Ula Media UK says Shakur Stevenson got a fight coming up. Is he that good? Don't really know him from UK perspective. He's a good fighter, very skillful fighter. Very, very good fighter. He may be the best in his division. However, he's got to fight the other champions. Him and Valdez is a good fight. I think that fight's going to be on Sky Sports, ain't it? Sky Sports and Top Rank have done a deal. So we're going to get to see all of the top ranked shows on Sky Sports, which is brilliant. So we're gonna get to see Shakur Stevenson. So yeah, Danny Vinlay says Shakur Stevenson. I mean Valdez beats Shakur. I'm not sure about that. I think Shakur beats Valdez, if I'm honest with you. But that's a good fight. Good fight. Holly Inferno says, would Pacquiao be the only 6-time lineal title holder in history? I believe so. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I don't think anyone's done it. So Raymond says, Lopez v. Cambosos could be fight of the year. It could be. It could be. I think it's a great fight. I think that would be, for me, that's going to be a very, very good fight. It could be, but Lopez has the kind of power and the explosive power where he could wipe Cambosos out quite early in that fight. He has that kind of equalizer. For me, he reminds me a bit like Stevenson, Adonis Stevenson, like we mentioned before, and Wilder, where he has that kind of explosive punch where he can just wipe you out. He's explosive as well. Those guys are dangerous, like Wilder, Stevenson, and Lopez. These type of punches are dangerous because they're explosive. They come out of nowhere. They hit you with shots you don't see, and they wipe you out. And Lopez is kind of the same mold as Wilder and Stevenson in that sense, where they're explosive, dangerous. Mortality Fatal says Cambosos couldn't hurt Selby, for Christ's sake. You know as much about boxing as the nearest radiator. Cambosos couldn't hurt Selby. Yeah, he couldn't hurt Selby, and that doesn't mean that doesn't mean he can't outbox what's his name, Lopez. He hasn't got power. I've already said Cambosos hasn't got great power, but he definitely is fast, and he's definitely got the boxing ability, right? I didn't expect him to outbox Selby. I didn't expect him to beat Selby, and he did. So don't overlook Cambosos. He hasn't got power. He hasn't got huge power, but he's got boxing ability. He's fast. So don't overlook him in that fight. I'm not saying he's going to win. I've just told you that I picked Lopez to win that fight by late stoppage, mid to late stoppage. But by no means am I overlooking. Danny Villeneuve, Valdez beat Shakur. Okay, Marlo Stanfield says Spence also has the WBA belt to gain. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That's back on the line. Spence also has the WBA belt to gain, which will give him a large amount of leverage over Crawford in negotiations. Spence would then have 3 belts to Crawford's 1. I just spoke about this earlier. For me, if Spence wins against Pacquiao and gets the 3 belts, because Pacquiao is going to be reinstated as the WBA champion, right? That fight for me is not going to happen between Spence and Crawford. I just don't. How's it going to happen? Spence is now going to say, I want 70-30. Crawford isn't going to agree to it. We're never going to get the fight. So I actually think if Spence wins, that we're not going to get an undisputed fight, because I don't think that fight's going to happen. I actually think that, Spence is going to move up and Crawford may have to pick up the pieces. I think it's going to be too difficult to make that fight just because of, I can't see it. I can't see it being made. I'd love to see it, but I just can't see it. That's just my take. I just don't see it happening. So, okay, what's this? Kambosos. So Raymond says Kambosos Jr. can punch. Don't know. I think he's got speed. I think he's got speed. I'm not sure he's a big puncher like Lopez. I think Lopez is more explosive. Lopez has the kind of power to wipe you out. I'm not sure Kambosos has that. Can he hurt Lopez? Possibly. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not so sure about his power, to be honest with you. Holly Inferno says Pacquiao only took 5 million purse for this fight, and people say he's fighting for the money. Crawford is going to have to accept whatever Spence gives him. Pacquiao only took 5 million. No, he took a 5 million guarantee. He didn't take 5 million. He's going to get a huge cut from the pay-per-view. So I'm pretty sure that Pacquiao has a huge pay-per-view split in his favor. So 5 million is what he's getting guaranteed. That's not his purse. That's not his purse. He'll be getting a lot more than that. He'll be getting a lot more than that. So no, I don't agree with that. He's not getting 5 million. That's 5 million guaranteed. So Raymond says Selby was clearly boiled himself to make the weight down at 126. Yeah, and that's why he jumped up 2 weight classes. He didn't even jump up 1. He jumped up 2. Lopez is the better boxer and more athletic, in my opinion. Lopez is the better boxer. I need to see more of Lopez. I've seen him against Comey and what's that guy's name? Lomachenko. How can I forget Lomachenko? And he did great, man. To be fair, he outboxed Loma. Like he boxed beautifully. He won clearly. So yeah, I like Lopez, man. I think he's a very good boxer, but I think Kambosos has got speed, man. I saw him against Selby. He looked good. He's got speed. He's a good fighter. I'm not saying he beats Lopez. Because I don't think he does. But I do think it's no walk in the park. It's a tough fight. So Rohit says, Manny is going to win for sure. I once doubted Manny against Thurman. Thurman is faster, dangerous, and more powerful than Spence. Faster, probably. Dangerous, more powerful. These are questionable. Faster. He's got great movement. He moves around the ring. Spence doesn't move around the ring a lot. Does he punch harder? I'm not sure. These are all debatable. I would favor Spence to beat Thurman. I just think Spence is more complete. Better chin, more durable. I would favor Spence to knock Thurman out. If I'm honest with you, that's just my opinion, guys. What I'm gonna do is, if any of you want to come on, I'll just leave the link in the chat for you guys. Command C. Command V. I've just left the link in the chat. If any of you want to come on, you're more than welcome coming on. So Raymond says Lopez will win, but don't sleep on Kambosos. Yeah, I think everyone is off that opinion. Most people are off that opinion that Lopez is a firm favorite, but Kambosos is a live underdog. So 3111 says Spence did not knock out Danny, Porter, and Mikey, so I don't see him KOing Manny. Yeah, I don't think he'll KO Manny in terms of like he'll knock him out cold. I believe like he could wear Manny Pacquiao down and stop him late. Do you know what I mean? Like not KO him, like hit him with a shot and he just knocks him cold, like he's too powerful. No, I believe like if he KOs him, it'll be more to do with fatigue. Do you see what I mean? Where Manny Pacquiao fatigues and just tires. I don't think he'll knock Pacquiao out. You know, who knows? He could hit him with a big punch and stop him, but I don't see it. I think it'll be more over fatigue where he wears him down. So Danny says Lopez couldn't hurt Loma. Lopez couldn't hurt Loma. Yeah, but Loma's tough. Loma's tough. So again, it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be a good watch. Let's see. I do think Lopez has explosive power though. But having said that, you say he didn't hurt him. Let's go back to that. Well, I actually think Loma was so hesitant to throw punches and he was gun shy because of Lopez's power. So that's why I don't think Loma threw as much, because Lopez had a lot of power and Loma didn't want to commit because he felt his power. That's what I believe. If Teofimo wins, does that equate to a Loma rematch or move on? I want to see a rematch. I'd love to see a rematch. I don't think we're going to get a rematch. I'd love to see him fight Lomachenko again, but I don't think he will, because I think he realizes that the rematch will be a lot harder, and I don't think he wants to give Loma the opportunity of potentially beating him in the rematch. That's just what I feel. How's it going, man? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You need to put your speaker on. I can't hear you. You need to change your settings. I can't hear what you're saying. So while Inferno is trying to sort out his settings, we'll carry on. So good point about Porter. Can you speak now? Can you? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yo.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. How are you, brother?
I've been watching you for a while.
Yeah, I know. How are you? I've seen you comment on a lot of my videos for a very long time, man.
Where, yeah.
How's everything going? You good?
Yeah, most def, man. You know, just had a wake and bake. You know how that go. But
Yeah.
been watching some boxing clips. Yeah, this George and Lopez, I really think it's more interesting than people expect. And you know, I'm a big number dude. Like I'm about like my number one fighting my number twos and number threes. But even though George is number 8, I've been looking at some of his fights. I think he got a good chance for real.
Who, George Kambosos?
Yeah.
How do you think you can beat him?
I don't know if George can beat him, but I just think with his experience with sparring Manny Pacquiao, I think with like 260 rounds, I think that's going to play a factor. For real.
What do you think about this one then? Pacquiao Spence.
Oh man, like no cap. Look, like this, like I'll say it this way, like Crawford is more of a bad style for Pacquiao, but I just think that Pacquiao would probably. I mean, I think with that Crawford would get hurt by Pacquiao. With Spence, I think Pacquiao is a bad style for Spence early in the fight, but late in the fight, yeah, Spence is a very bad style for Pacquiao, especially at this age. We see him slow down against Thurman, so it's just like, can Pacquiao gain up enough points in the early rounds and then level his boxing ability late in the fight? That's really what it is. So, yeah, this is a hard fight for me, and I'm a big Pacquiao fan.
Yeah, I know. I think we're all like massive Pacquiao fans. What what do you think? What do you think? What do you think Pacquiao has to do to win? Like, what do you think he has to do in order to get the
Countering
win?
that jab, occupying Spence jab, moving, and I just really think this is stuff he has to do late in the fight. Like this is more important late in the fight. If he can keep countering Spence jab, um, do keep a lot of feints and keep timing Spence rhythm and setting traps. I mean, just really his rhythm, countering the jab and setting traps. That's because I really think that's going to really show like if he can last as long in the sport late in the fight. Because I don't think Spence could stop Pacquiao, but Pacquiao wins. I'm not saying most of his wins are because of stoppage, but also it's because he usually knocked down his opponent 1 or 2 times in the fight. Watching Pacquiao fight Margarito and Cotty, I don't think Pacquiao's going to like knock down Spence. But I also don't think Spence is going to even knock down Pacquiao, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really think it's what he needs to do late in the fight.
Fair enough. Marlo, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you doing? How you guys doing?
All good, man. All good. I can hear you. I hear you loud and clear. How do you see this one
Really?
going? I've seen your comments in on my videos a few times. You're obviously a Spence fan, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wanted to respond to one of the guys in the comments. He said, "How is Spence gonna knock out Thurman when he couldn't knock out Porter and Danny Garcia and all them?" But
Yeah.
didn't Thurman almost get knocked out by Jose Cito Lopez?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, and like we cannot miss out on that. Like, Keith Thurman was hurt by the body.
Yeah, yeah. Inferno, I can't hear. I can't hear you that clear. Are you like away from your mic?
Is that me?
Yeah, like, I think you're probably far away from your mic. Like Marlo's quite loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
So, do you guys think that the 2 year? What do you think the 2 year layoff is gonna do to Pacquiao? You think that this is gonna affect him at all?
Possibly. Was that you commenting about the 2 year layoff? That you think Spence will get the credit if?
Yeah, I don't think Spence will get credit for beating him. I think it's what Spence has to gain is basically that belt. So if he
Yeah,
gets that belt, then
and profile
I
as
mean,
well.
Yeah,
yeah. So then he's got 3 belts to Crawford's 1. Crawford's is gonna have to take what Spence offers.
Yeah, but you know that Crawford fight's not gonna happen, right?
I mean,
yeah,
if
that's what I'm
Crawford
saying. Wait, I don't
Crawford
think that
is
Crawford fight going to. If Spence beats Pacquiao, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I think Crawford needs to just suck it up and take what's offered to him because
Yeah, but
at that point
70-30,
you
I
only
don't think he
have.
needs to take 70-30. 60-40 most def because of pay-per-view, but as much as Crawford has a
We can't
competition.
hear you, Inferno. We can't hear you clear. We can't hear you.
Word, hold on.
Your volume's really low.
I mean, it's kind of like when Floyd fought Oscar De La Hoya, he had to take what Oscar gave him. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
he didn't get to dictate what he was gonna get and everything like that. If you win the fight, then going forward, then you'll be the number 1 guy.
You know what the thing is, though, Marlo? The thing is, like with Crawford, he believes he's achieved more than Spence. So he feels that I'm being disrespected here. I'm being disrespected by being offered what I'm offered, where he feels like it should be a 50-50 split. Like, I get it now. If Spence beats Pacquiao, then Spence deserves the highest split. I made a video about this the other day, that Spence deserves the highest split. But in Crawford's mind, right, he feels that he's a 3-weight world champion. He's undisputed at 140. He's being disrespected. So I can't see him accepting like 70-30 or 60-40. Do you know what I mean? I get what you're saying
Yeah,
about.
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, Crawford hasn't really done anything in the welterweight division. I mean, he
Yeah,
has that belt, but he
yeah,
beat
true,
Jeff Horn. He beat washed up Kell Brook. I mean, those were his. He beat a washed up Amir Khan. Those were the only, like, he hasn't really beat anybody like Spence has.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the two biggest names that he fought in the welterweight division were like living on their past. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and they were like, yeah, I agree, man. He hasn't really done like, yeah. And not just that, his names like on his resume, even in other divisions they aren't stellar. Do you know what I mean? They're not elite, apart from probably Gamboa. Postal, possibly. They're not like, Spence has beaten Garcia. He's beaten what's his name, Porter. He's beaten Mikey. He's beaten more in prime Kell Brook. So yeah, man, Spencer's beaten some big names. You know what I mean? Some great names.
Yeah. If
Like
you
I said,
add Pacquiao to that,
say that again.
you add Pacquiao to that list, and Crawford doesn't really have an argument.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, if you add Pacquiao to that list, then yeah, it's quite clear that. And then not just that, he's selling pay-per-views as well.
Yeah. I forgot about that part.
Look at his pay-per-view numbers and Crawford's pay-per-view. Crawford's highest pay-per-view numbers were 150,000 against Amir Khan, right?
Yeah, and I think that was more Amir Khan than Crawford. I think.
Yeah, because Crawford's not been on pay-per-view since, really, has he?
No. The Brook fight was on ESPN. I can't even remember. What did he?
Kavalauskas after he fought Amir Khan.
Yeah. And then wasn't he knocked down in that fight?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was hurt in that fight. It wasn't called a knockdown. It didn't get called a knockdown. But yeah, he was his glove touched the canvas for sure. He was wobbled in that fight.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Crawford hasn't done enough. And if his next opponent should be Sean Porter. If he doesn't fight Sean Porter next, or Danny Garcia, or somebody, Virgil Ortiz, somebody, like, if you fight another no-name guy, then
Porter's fighting Thurman. You know that, right? They're negotiating. It looks like those two are going to fight.
Porter's fighting in a rematch?
Yeah. There's negotiating a rematch. Yeah, that got reported by Michael Benson today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was just watching Sean Porter's podcast. He didn't mention anything about what he was doing next.
Yeah, it's news. It just broke today that Thurman and Porter are in negotiations for a rematch.
Oh, that's gonna be a very good match. I got Porter winning that fight though.
Yeah,
I don't think Thurman's the same.
You think Thurman's done?
It's been 2 years, and then he lost to Pacquiao. I don't really think he looked terrible against Pacquiao. I think he lost, but he looked pretty bad against Jose Cito Lopez the fight before though.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You know what? You know when people say that Thurman beats Spence, I don't see it. I think Spence would knock Thurman out. I think he'd give him a few issues. I think Thurman's got power. He's got good speed. He's got good movement. But I just think Spence will. I think as soon as Spence hits him on the body, I think he's too vulnerable, man.
Yeah,
he's too. Yeah, vulnerable.
Definitely. And Spence works the body like nobody he's ever fought.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah. He got hurt by Luis Palazzo.
Yeah,
this was Thurman in his prime. This was Thurman.
His prime.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He was getting he was getting hurt badly of Collazo, and Collazo, I think it was the fight. Collazo had just fought Amir Khan, and he took a bad beating in that fight, right, against Khan, right, and then I think he fought Thurman right after that. Thurman he won comfortably, but he was almost knocked out in that fight. So this is what I mean. Thurman's been vulnerable, even from the start. Like, he got hurt against Porter. Porter almost won that fight against Thurman.
Yeah.
That first fight.
Yeah, it was. It was. And Thurman, I think it would be a close fight if it was Thurman from 2016, 2017, but now it's like we haven't seen him in 2 years, and in his last two fights, he lost one, and he looked bad against a journeyman.
Yeah. A gatekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
So
I didn't even when he came back and he fought Jose Cito Lopez, I couldn't understand why somebody on Thurman's level would fight a Jose Cito Lopez, but I see why now because he's not the same fighter. But Jose Cito Lopez at the time, he had already lost to Jesse Vargas. He had already been knocked out by Andre Berto. And if you have trouble with a guy like that, there's no way that you're gonna beat Spence.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. Lopez, to be honest, the referee could have stopped that fight in the 7th round.
Yeah.
He got beat up in that 7th round. He got beat up in that round, Thurman.
Yeah. He was
He
wobbled the
lost.
whole round. Like I was surprised he got through it. I mean, he showed heart by getting through it, but he should have never been in that position against such a weak opponent.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Furman's days at the top are probably numbered. I think he's at the end of his career now, where I think he's probably looking for, he needs a big win. He needs to beat Sean Porter. If he loses that fight, then you'd say whoever loses that fight for me becomes a gatekeeper.
Yeah, pretty much. If not retired, I think if Thurman loses, I think he's just gonna retire.
Yeah, I think Porter will probably fight on.
Yeah, if Porter loses, I think he fights on. But from the way he sounded, well, actually, it wasn't his podcast. He was on a sports show that I watch with this guy named Rob Parker and Chris Broussard. It's called The Odd Couple, and they were talking about like this direction that boxing is going in, and if more boxers are going to start getting like fighting guys like Logan Paul and Jake Paul for money. And he said he said at this point in his career he wouldn't, but like later on he says if they're offering like $5-10 million, he'd do it. So I don't know. I think if Porter loses, he might go a route where he just starts trying to make money.
Right.
Or he could retire as well. I mean, he's doing pretty good with like the analysts. He's an analyst for Fox and everything like that. He might go that route and just do that full time.
Yeah, could do. What do you think about so who do you want to see Crawford fight then? If Porter and Thurman are going to fight, where does that leave Crawford? Spence and Pacquiao fighting. Who is Crawford going to fight?
I wouldn't mind seeing Crawford and Mikey.
Right. Okay.
I think that would be a good fight. I mean, both fighters came from dominating lightweight. Dominated 140, and they're around the same kind of background, same kind of size. And I think Mikey would give him trouble, honestly.
I think that'd be a very good fight. But I don't think that. Oh yeah, Crawford is going to be leaving Top Rank now, though. That fight would have been impossible to make while Crawford is with Top Rank.
Oh yeah, Mikey still feels like Arum owes him money.
Yeah. So I don't think that fight would happen if he. But we know that Crawford. It looks like him and his Top Rank are gonna. He's gonna be set free of his Top Rank contract, whatever. His contract's coming towards an end, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't see why big name fighters would even want to fight for Top Rank. I mean, it's just so many people that left on bad terms with them.
I agree. Yeah, like you've got Mayweather, De La Hoya,
Mikey,
Pacquiao
now. Pacquiao. Everybody, like nobody leaves on good terms.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear you.
And then Teofimo seems like he wants to leave also. I mean, they didn't want to pay him. He had to go through Triller.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about all this YouTube stuff? What did you make of Mayweather Logan
Paul? I thought it was. I honestly was very disappointed in that. I thought it made boxing look bad to have one of the greatest of all times look like that against Logan Paul. Even if Logan Paul's, I don't care if he was 200 pounds, Mayweather should have still knocked him out. Mayweather wasn't landing clean shots. Like I didn't expect Mayweather to knock him out cold, But I expected Mayweather to like. I expected it to look like when Mayweather fought at Toro Gotti. Like he's
Yeah.
hitting him so much and so clean so often that the referee has to stop the fight.
Hmm.
That's the way it should have went. And the fact that he couldn't do that to an amateur, that's just it looked bad. It looked terrible. It's like I make it the equivalent of like, let's say an amateur fights Randy Couture or Chuck Liddell in MMA. If it's an amateur and they go the distance and it looks like an even fight, it's gonna look bad for the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. It was bad. It was bad. It was a bad look. I feel like. Do you buy it when people say Mayweather carried him, or do you think Mayweather was trying to knock him out?
No, but I think he was actually trying. I think he
Yeah,
carried
yeah,
him like the first couple of rounds. I don't
yeah,
think he
yeah,
was really trying, but toward the end, like round 5, 6, 7, and 8, he was trying. I could see it in his face.
yeah, yeah. You didn't want to be embarrassed like that.
Yeah, and it definitely was. You could tell at the end of the fight, the way he looked, it just looked embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
You
you
could
got
tell. Yeah,
you
I
got
agree.
Jake Paul on the sidelines celebrating. It's like, man, this looks bad. I
Yeah, it
was
was.
I was
Well,
embarrassed for the sport.
yeah, it was. It wasn't good, man. It wasn't good. What do you make of Pacquiao and Mayweather? Pacquiao's fighting Spence. Mayweather's
Mhm.
fighting Logan Paul. Um, what do you think? If obviously, I know you think Spence beats Pacquiao, but if Pacquiao was to pull off the upset, right? Does
Mhm.
he does he go great? Where would you rank him of all time, like compared to Mayweather? How would you rank him? Do you think
I
Pacquiao surpasses Mayweather?
I think Pacquiao's already better than Mayweather. I think Mayweather won. I think Mayweather beat Pacquiao, but I
Yeah,
think Pacquiao's a better fighter. I mean, like the great. Not. I think he's the greater fighter. Like I kind of make it like Holyfield lost to Michael Moore, but nobody's gonna say Michael Moore was better than Holyfield. But Michael Moore beat him, but that doesn't mean he's better. So I think Pacquiao's better. Yeah, I think he's greater all time. Like I would rank him higher than Mayweather all
So do you
time.
when you say he's better, do you mean like he's greater, but he's not? Do you think he's the better boxer though?
Mm, prime versus prime, I think it's very close.
Hmm.
Uh, I would say I don't know. I think it's. I mean, it's too close to really call as far as like skill versus skill. When I say
Hmm.
Pacquiao's greater, I think Pacquiao's greater because I think he had a better career.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he,
yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I think his career's been more outstanding. Yeah,
yeah. But as far as like skill, who's the more skilled fighter? They're
yeah,
both really, really skilled. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and then Mayweather, Mayweather's defense, and I think Mayweather's defense is probably the greatest, one of the greatest of all times.
Hmm.
Pacquiao's offense is one of the greatest of all times, but I think Mayweather's offense is underrated, and I think Pacquiao's defense is underrated. I've seen fights with Pacquiao where he like it's you can barely hit him.
Yeah, but that's down to the fact that he's the one that's doing a lot of the hitting. Like he was so fast and so powerful in his prime that he was the one that was hitting a lot of the guys. They were just there tucking up and getting absolutely like Cotto. He absolutely obliterated Cotto, and Cotto was a great fighter.
Yeah, yeah. That was embarrassing. I think
Yeah,
Cotto bit off a lot more than he could chew as far as not taking the Pacquiao fight, but allowing Pacquiao to dictate like the weight and everything like that. I don't think Cotto realized how hard it was going to be to get down that far again
mhm,
when he had been fighting at 154.
mhm. Yeah, I hear you there. What Ahmed's asking a question for you, Marlo. Do you think Pacquiao or Mayweather are better than a prime Roy Jones?
Yeah, I would rank both of them higher than Roy Jones.
Yeah.
Both of them. Yeah, because Roy Jones, he was really good in his prime, but I don't think he really fought anybody. Like he fought a really, really green, like a young Bernard Hopkins, But Hopkins had only been fighting for a couple years, so Hopkins was far from getting to his prime. He beat a really young James Toney. Other than that, like, who did he beat?
Yeah.
And then he, when it came down to it, and he had the biggest fight of his career, in my opinion. I thought he got gifted a decision against Antonio Tarver the first time. And then the second time, he just got flat out knocked out cold. That was one of the worst knockouts I ever seen.
He beat Mike McCullum as well, didn't he?
Huh?
He beat Mike McCullum as well.
Yeah, but I mean, he's Mike McCullum. That's not really that's not a name that okay, I just beat Mike McCullum, so that's gonna elevate me on the all-time list.
Yeah. True. I do think that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins. Early on.
A lot of people try to use the age as an excuse. Oh, Roy Jones was old when he fought Tarver, but Tarver is older than Roy Jones, so I don't see that as a good excuse.
What do you think?
Then, after that, Glenn Johnson knocked him out too.
Yeah. Moving up and down weights though. Did you think that helped him? Like, obviously he moved to heavyweight, then came back down.
That was a terrible decision. He should have stayed at heavyweight. If once I know he got gift. He probably wanted to fight Tarver again because he felt like he didn't really win the first time. So I think that's why he gave him the rematch. If he won convincingly, he probably wouldn't have gave him the rematch. But I think he should have just took it and said, if Tarver wants a rematch, then Tarver has to come to heavyweight.
Right. See, Ahmed says here, pre-heavyweight, who would have beaten Roy Jones, though? So pre-going to heavyweight, who would have beaten a prime Roy Jones?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There weren't a lot of big names in the light heavyweight division when Roy Jones was dominating. I think that a prime Bernard Hopkins versus a prime Roy Jones is a 50-50 fight.
Right, okay. What about Joe Calzaghe in his prime against Roy Jones?
Yeah, that would be a good fight too.
But Calzaghe beat him. A lot of people say Roy was washed up when Calzaghe beat him, but Calzaghe wasn't young either. But Roy Jones was obviously a lot more past it than what Calzaghe was. But if they had fought in their prime, like prime, like both of them prime, who would you favor?
If I had to put my money on someone, I probably would put my money on Roy, but I would be very scared about that bet. I think Calzaghe would outpoint him. If it goes the distance. If Roy Jones wins, then I think he would have to knock him out.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah.
So, Canelo via prime Bernard Hopkins at 168. Who wins?
I gotta go with Canelo on that one.
You gotta go with Canelo.
Yeah.
Go on.
I don't think Bernard Hopkins has seen the kind of power that Canelo would have. I think Bernard Hopkins would have to respect his power, and I think it would cause Bernard Hopkins to fight more defensive, which would allow Canelo to outpoint him.
Yeah. I think. What about Canelo against Jones?
Prime versus prime. I think I would go with Roy Jones, only because the speed. I think Canelo would have trouble with how fast Roy was.
Yeah, he was really, really fast, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and he could have probably outpoints him. But that would have been a great fight. That's what I mean. But these guys didn't really have like guys like Canelo and that in their prime, whereas like Mayweather and Pacquiao had a lot of good. Like they had Mosley, they had Cotto, they had De La Hoya, they had Marquez, they had many great fighters. Barrera, Morales. They had many great fighters that they could fight.
Yeah.
So it made their legacy a lot better. Do you know what I mean?
That was a golden era. The early to mid 2000s, and then once you got to the late 2000s, there still were a lot of names, but those guys had a lot of good opponents to fight. Fernando
Yeah.
Vargas was around back then. Mayorga. They didn't even fight everybody. Like everybody that was like a big name, it was so many of them that they couldn't even fight all of them because there was too many of them.
Mm.
I think boxing was in a lot better place back then. I think it was just, I don't know. It was just better to me. But it's getting back. It's getting back to where it should be now. But I thought like the early 2010, like 2010, 11, I thought it was like there weren't a lot of big names.
Mm. Mm. Fair enough. Mortality Fatal saying, so Thurman dominates Collazo for 35, 40 minutes, gets hurt once, and he's fragile. You people. He's basically saying that Thurman dominated Collazo, got hurt for 35, dominated for like 40 minutes, and then got hurt once. And you guys think that, oh, it's a bad fight. What do you make of that? Marlo, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
No, I didn't think he looked bad against Collazo. I thought he looked bad against Jose Cito Lopez. I thought
Yeah.
he got hurt. He gets hurt a lot when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Against fighters that he shouldn't. I mean, a lot of people that hate on Spence, they talk about him struggling with Sean Porter, but Sean Porter's a very elite fighter. It's totally different to get hurt by Sean Porter than to get hurt by Jose Cito Lopez.
Yeah, I agree. Like Sean Porter's a top welterweight. You know, so you can't you have to give him credit because, like you said, they're top welterweight, man. Top welterweight fighter. Whereas Lopez isn't. So, you know what I mean? That's definitely a good win for Spence. Although it was very close, that fight against Spence and Porter. I think the knockdown probably got Spence that win. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
What do you make of that fight?
Yeah, that was a very action-packed fight. I thought it should have got fight of the year, actually.
Oh yeah.
But that was probably the best fight I've seen in a couple of years, really.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
As far as it like being even like just a back and forth type of fight, not just one guy dominating another guy.
They also said, I know that you've mentioned this before, that Manny, people have brought up, or Spence brought up in an interview that he did, that Manny is also going to have to do this testing.
He said Manny's going to do what?
VADA testing.
Oh yeah. I think that should be mandatory for every fight, but I think it's mandatory for all WBC fights for sure.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people bring that out. What do you make of that about the VADA testing? They're saying that, oh well, Pacquiao didn't have VADA testing. Apparently, there was VADA testing for them, and I don't know. Some people say there is. Some people say there wasn't.
I don't know. Pacquiao's never tested positive, so you can't really make an allegation like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but Thurman claims. Hold on 1 second. My son's crying. Hold on.
No. So yeah, guys. It has been confirmed that there's going to be VADA testing for this fight. But like I said, I don't really like bringing that up because when it comes to Pacquiao's never ever failed a drugs test. He's always been. I just feel like people just accuse somebody because he's so great. So yeah, I think that's a bit unfair with Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao gets unfairly criticized unnecessarily as well. So yeah, that's my take on it. So what's this saying? Sean saying I watched all of Spence fight. He's slow, flat-footed. He just stand in front of his foe. Spence will end up Errol Margarito. Spence Jr.
Yeah, that's a terrible comparison. Margarito, when you watch Margarito after he got caught wrapping his gloves with that cement, he was a totally different fighter. He's not on the level of Errol Spence. Minus the cement in his gloves. I mean, we saw immediately after that was taken away from him, Mosley just dominated him like he was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cotto beat him as well, didn't he? In the rematch.
Yeah, and then in the second fight, Cotto dominated him like he was nothing as well. When Cotto was getting rocked by him the first time, and we found out why, because he was cheating. So you can't compare an Errol Spence to a Margarito.
Yeah,
Margarito he was not very good after he was exposed as a cheater.
Yeah. So, do you think a lot of people compare Errol Spence to Margarito? I think there's no comparison. I think Errol Spence is way better than Margarito. I just think the only comparison is the fact that they were both big. In terms of fighting ability, I think Spence is far better. He's more complete. Margarito was just a tough guy. Like you said, he could punch a little, but really, it was what it was. We found out what the case was with Margarito.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people. So it says here, Sig Sign Cutter says, no, Crawford would not beat Mikey easily. Spence even had to work the whole 12 rounds to do it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Mikey, and I think Mikey showed the way he beat Jesse Vargas the next fight. I mean, I thought a lot of people say, "Oh, that wasn't a good fight." I thought it was a great performance. I thought Mikey thoroughly beat Jesse Vargas, and Jesse Vargas is, I mean, he may be a gatekeeper, but he's not an easy fight, and that proved to me that Mikey definitely belongs at welterweight. If he fights Crawford, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Mikey beat Crawford.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good fight.
That should be the fight that Crawford should make next, honestly. I mean, like you said, if he's leaving Top Rank and, Bob Arum's not involved, I'm sure Mikey would be up for it.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that would be a great fight. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that fight. Jet says Crawford would beat him easily. Fair. Some people think Crawford beats him easily. Mikey v. Crawford 50-50 fight says X-Bar says that it's a 50-50 fight in his opinion.
One thing for sure, Mikey would definitely be his toughest opponent to date. Crawford I don't feel like Crawford's beat anybody as good as Mikey.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. Yeah, 100%. I actually think that would be his toughest, or you'd definitely say on paper it'd be his best win, right?
Yeah, that'll be his best win. It'll be a fighter that's still in his prime, still pretty young. Somebody that only has one loss on their resume, as opposed to guys that have been knocked out already. Because I mean, if you look at his resume, the other two big names, the two biggest names on his resume currently are Kell Brook and Amir Khan, and both those guys had already been knocked out.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd agree with that. They had been knocked out. And not just that. A lot of tough fights, a lot of wear and tear. You know what I mean? Like Kell Brook had damaged eye sockets. And he was going into that fight as a damaged fighter. Khan had already, like you said, been knocked out, but not just that, he had a lot of tough fights, a very hard career, a lot of wear and tear on the body. Do you know what I mean? So they weren't fresh.
Yeah. That fight with Amir Khan and Marcos Maidana, that was a brutal fight right there.
Yeah, that's the kind of fight that's like equivalent to 5 fights. Do you know what I mean?
Right. That kind of fight, not only does that put you through a lot as a fighter. That kind of fight can take a couple years off of your life.
Yeah. I agree, man. You know what Amir Khan said after that fight? I don't know if you know. He said that he had memory loss. He said
I
he,
can
he said he
imagine.
can't remember what happened after the fight to the hotel and stuff. He can't remember what happened
Yeah, I mean, he took a lot of clean shots that fight. They both
against
did.
a massive puncher as well.
Yeah. Marcos Maidana is a hell of a puncher. I was kind of. I mean, I don't know the reason why he retired, but I was disappointed when he retired because I thought there
Yeah,
were a lot of big fights that he could have made.
could have. Like, I think about it. I think about Maidana against Spence. Like, that would have been a great fight.
That would
Maidana
have been a
against
great fight.
Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Maidana against Crawford. Oh,
Maidana against Porter, Danny Garcia,
yeah.
Thurman.
You know what? When I look at Thurman, for example, and even Garcia, I think Maidana could have beaten those guys. You know, I think he could have knocked
Yeah,
Thurman out. I
yeah. I
think,
think he could have beat. He could have beat any of them. Really,
yeah,
I mean,
he could have.
as far
But
as like other than Castillo, as far as the fights that Mayweather has had, you can
yeah,
make those two fights, Castillo and the first Maidana fight, first Castillo fight, the first Maidana fight, those were like the closest fights that Mayweather's had. You can really argue he might have lost.
yeah. Tough fights, man. Maidana was a guy that brought it every time. You know what I mean? He brought the action.
Hmm.
He brought the pain, man.
Yeah,
I think that guy was. I think that guy was a great fighter. Like I said, I was disappointed as well that his career was cut short.
yeah. I don't know what the reason was, or if there was health reasons or what it was. I mean, I'm sure he probably feel like he did the right thing, but just speaking from a fan's perspective, it was just. I mean, he's a really exciting fighter. I was a big fan of his.
Yeah, he was. He was really excited. What do you make of if Crawford fights Josh Taylor? Would you be upset with that fight?
No, no. I think that would be a pretty big fight. I don't think Crawford really has much to gain from
Yeah,
it. I think Josh Taylor, if Josh Taylor wins, though, he'll look really good. Just
yeah.
became undisputed, and then he beats Crawford.
Mm.
But I don't know. Do you feel like Josh Taylor is going to stay at 140, or do you think he's going to go up?
I think he might stay there for a Tiafimo fight because Tiafimo wants to fight him,
Yeah,
don't he?
yeah, yeah,
Javante.
yeah. Tio wants to fight him. He doesn't seem like he wants to fight Tio though, because every time Tio's name comes up, he says that Tio needs to fight Devin or Ryan or Tank. But it looks like Tank is going to stay at 140 also. So I don't know.
Yeah, Richard Brown, one of the guys that is on my live streams like all the time. Basically says that he feels that Crawford beats all welterweights. Only man that could beat him is maybe Pacquiao. So he thinks he beats all welterweights, including Spence. The only man that maybe could beat him is Pacquiao. What do you make of that?
I mean, if Crawford could beat all welterweights, why is he not fighting any of them?
Yeah.
He's not fighting any of them. I mean, I don't know. If he really feels like that, then I think if Crawford feels like that, then he should stop talking about it and do it. So
You think
honestly, I don't think he can.
you don't think he can? No.
No, I think he can. I think he can beat some of them, but I don't think he can beat Spence.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think he would beat Porter.
Yeah.
I think I think Mikey can. I think I would favor Mikey to beat him, and I think if he fights Danny, him versus Danny is a 50-50 fight to me.
Yeah, that's a good fight as well. Yeah, they're all good fights. Yeah. I know it's a matter of opinion, though, isn't it? Like everyone's gonna have like their opinion in terms of who they think is good. And like, I've seen a lot of people that rate Crawford. I've seen a lot of people that don't rate Crawford. I think Crawford's a very good fighter. I think he's very complete, very skilled, very fast. But again, like I said, I do question his. I do question whether he can take the power of some of these big welterweights like Spence. That's a big question because Spence, right? He's very tough. and he punches very hard. You know, those left hands to the body and left hands up, right hands up top, left hands up top. They're dangerous. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
dangerous.
definitely. And
Uh,
I think the biggest part of Spence's game
mm,
is his jab. I think his jab is very underrated.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
especially watching that last fight against Danny. I haven't. I mean, I would compare the way he jabs to like a Larry Holmes.
Mm, mm. He's very methodical, ain't he, Spence? Like he's very like I know people call him robotic and stuff, but he's very methodical. But he's a lot better than what he looks at times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's very
definitely,
deceptive. Like he
definitely.
looks a lot faster than what you think.
Yeah, yeah, and he has like he can box in different ways. Like the way he fought Porter, and then you look at the way he fights against like Danny. Like on the outside, he can fight on the outside. He fights on the inside.
Mm,
I think he's better when he fights on the outside though,
mm,
because like, and I think that's going to be key against Pacquiao too. He's going to have to use his jab. I think his jab is going to be very key to force Pacquiao to reset and
mm.
keep him out of rhythm. Keep him out of rhythm.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So someone's asking here. Jet says Spence has a puncher's chance against Crawford. What do you make of that?
That's laughable.
Why?
That's laughable.
Why do you disagree?
Well, I think like I said, Spence's jab, his body work.
Mm,
Crawford's never fought a guy like that, and then he
mm,
hasn't fought a guy as physically strong. I think Crawford he's not going to be able to control the fight like he does against like he's done in his past fights. He's not going to be able to control it. Spence is going to control the distance with his jab. He's gonna work the body, and Crawford's. I don't know. I have to see more from. I have to see Crawford fight better opponents before I can put
mm.
Crawford. Rank him as high as everybody else ranks him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so you know how like Crawford's ranked number 2 pound for pound. Do you disagree with that then?
I think he's more like number 5. I don't see how he can be ranked number 2 pound for pound when he's not even number 1 in his own division.
I get what you're saying. But a lot of people do rank him as the number 1 welterweight. That's the thing. I don't agree with it, but a lot of people do think. By the way, I think Spence beats Crawford. If I'm honest with you, I've said that for a while now. I think Spence beats Crawford. But in terms of like people ranking him, a lot of people do rank him as the number 1 welterweight. They think he's the best welterweight. I know his resume is not great at welterweight, but there's a lot of people that do put him as number 1 welterweight. They think he's the best.
They're ranking him based on what he did at 135 and 140. They're not ranking they're not ranking him based on what he's done at 147. And then he's been a welterweight for years now. So like I don't see like how can people continue to currently rank him based on the past instead of ranking him based on the present.
Yeah, I get you. I hear what you're saying. Definitely hear what you're saying. I think he's more. I think people ranking him high because of skill more than what he's done of late. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like I said, I've always said that skillful guy. But if your resume is not great and you're fighting not the best, then you're not. People aren't going to be able to see the vulnerabilities in you. Like when you fight the stiff competition, there's more vulnerabilities. Like Spence, although he's looked good, like in the Porter fight, there was vulnerabilities. We saw weaknesses. We saw a close fight. So a lot of people after the Porter fight was calling Spence a hype job, right?
Yeah.
Because the fight was close because they weren't expecting Spence. They weren't expecting the fight with Porter to be close. They were expecting Spence to separate himself like he did with Danny Garcia. So when you're someone like Spence, right, who's got a lot of people have high expectations with Spence. So for example, if Spence keeps fighting tough guys, he doesn't look as good in one fight. People are going to be like, oh, this guy's a hype job. You know what I mean? Even though it's wrong, but that's what happens when you're fighting tough level opposition. Whereas Crawford, for example, is not fighting stiff competition. He's blowing them away. So people are like, wow, this guy's phenomenal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Another guy that I forgot to mention, that Crawford that I would like to see Crawford fight is Ugas. That's a guy that we haven't
oh
mentioned.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think Ugas would give him some problems too.
Good fighter, Ugas. Very good
Yeah,
fighter. Not got the name, not got the profile, but he's a very good fighter. Very good fighter,
yeah,
Ugas.
yeah, it is.
What about Jaron Ennis?
Mm, I haven't seen that much of him.
Virgil Ortiz?
Virgil Ortiz is really good. He's gonna be. I say I give him maybe 2 or 3 years, and he's
Mm,
gonna be on top of the welterweight division.
right, right.
Yeah,
Uh,
Virgil Ortiz is a beast.
what do you make
He's
of?
begging for that Porter fight, but Porter, I don't know if he's scared, but he keeps denying it, saying, "Oh no, you're not ready." I don't know. I think Virgil Ortiz would give Porter some problems too
What
right
do you make
now.
of what do you make of our welterweight that's coming through here in the UK, Conor Ben? Have you seen much of him?
No, I haven't seen much of him.
You
What's
haven't
his record?
he's I think he's like 18-0, I think, but he's basically
Yeah.
just fought Samuel Vargas in his last fight and he knocked him out in a round.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he's starting to make a splash. He called Porter out as well.
Yeah.
He's trying to call out Amir Khan or he's called out Amir Khan, but Khan's not really interested in that fight. So he
When
basically called
was
out Broner, Khan, and Porter. But obviously those guys aren't really interested in it because obviously what do they gain out of fighting him? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
not much to gain. It's
You
a
know what I mean?
probably a really big risk.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got nothing to gain. So they're not really interested. Well, Porter dismissed it, Khan dismissed it, and Broner's not really interested either. So, yeah, he's a one to watch here in the UK. Don't you know you probably heard about his dad, Nigel Ben.
Um, Around what era was he fighting?
So he was early 2000s, late. I think 1990s. I'd say 1990s, 2000, like 1990. Yeah, Nigel Ben. Good fighter. He's like very, very good fighter. Very super middleweight.
Yeah. Okay.
Middleweight and super middleweight. Very good fighter. Ben was. So yeah, it's his son. But yeah. Watch. Uh, keep
Yeah, I'll
your
keep an eye
ears.
out.
Keep an eye out for that guy. He's a good fighter. Very good fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yeah.
but yeah, man. Yeah, it was really nice talking with you guys, man.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me on. But I gotta
Yeah.
go
No
pick up the
worries, man.
kids,
No worries.
man.
Good having you on, man. It's good having you on. It was great speaking to you.
All right,
Great
thanks, man. I'll talk to you next time.
Take care, Marlo, man. Take care. Take care.
All
Take
right,
care.
take care. Have a good one.
You too, man. Take care. Bye. So, guys, that was Marlo. If anyone else wants to come on, let me just drop the link. Let me just drop the link again in the chat. If any of you want to come on, you're more than welcome to come on. Great guest. Yeah, it was a good guest. It was funny. He didn't know who Nigel Ben was. Laughed my ass off. Yeah, I was surprised, man. He didn't know who Nigel Ben is. Nigel Ben is well, this is what I mean. A lot of Americans might not know. I know they should because beat Gerald McLennan. But there's a lot of guys that don't know. Yeah, that's true. Hopefully the big fights can be made. I believe Crawford beats them all, though. Let's see. Let's see, man. Crawford. I want to see Crawford fight all the top boys as well. Let's answer some of your questions. So, which great welterweights? So John says, which great welterweights has Spence beaten? I think that's unfair. Spence beaten some good guys. He's beaten Porter. He's beaten Kell Brook. He beat what's his name? Danny Garcia. Yeah, listen, I get where you're coming from. It's not like they're not great, you know what I mean? But they're definitely good. They're definitely good names. Do you know what I mean? They're definitely good names. Guys, I've left the link in the chat. If anyone wants to come on, you're more than welcome to come on. Porter is a strong opponent. Yep. Rashidi Ellis, yeah, the guy with the fast hands, good fighter, but he's, like I said, he needs to step up his game. Okay, so what's this? What about Tyson Fury v Deontay Wilder? Oh, I forgot to ask him about that. That would have been a good. We forgot to ask him about the heavyweights. Tyson Fury v Deontay Wilder. What do you think about that fight? Why do you think the decision 12 rounds or TKO? I think Wilder needs a knockout. Wilder needs to knock out Fury, obviously, and then Fury, in my opinion, can stop him and beat him on points. So it's a big fight. That's a big fight because there's a lot riding on that fight. If Wilder loses again, you'd have to say his career's over. His career's over at top level. It's going to be a long way back if he loses 2 in a row. So he's going to have to do the business in that fight, Wilder. Otherwise, I don't know where to go. I don't know where Wilder's going to go if he loses. You know, so this is a big fight for Deontay. Deontay has to win that fight. Otherwise, you know, unfortunately for Deontay Wilder, his career might be done. He might have to retire. Because who's going to want to fight Deontay? Ahmed, how are you? Oh, he's gone. He's gone. All right, okay. Anyone else wants to go on camera? More than welcome. Good point. The guys you mentioned can be considered decent welterweights, but none of them are great. Yeah. Is Danny Garcia a great welterweight? No. Is Porter a great welterweight? No. Mikey Garcia, he's not really a welterweight. Is Pacquiao's great? Pacquiao's great, but he's old. So if he beats Pacquiao, then his resume is starting to look stellar. If he beats Pacquiao, you definitely have to say his resume is looking good. Spence has the better resume, but worse skill set. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think Crawford has a really good skill set. But again, can Crawford use his skill set to beat someone like Errol Spence? His size, his strength, him working, him wearing Spence down. That's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough, man. Spence, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. Very, very tough against Spence because Spence is big. He's a big, strong welterweight. Big, strapping, strong. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, honestly. So John says, even if Spence beats Thurman, that would be a better win than anyone he has beaten. Crawford at least beat someone who beat Pacquiao immediately after he beat Pacquiao. Yeah, that's Horn. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point, John. Very good point there. Hopefully Crawford fights Porter or Thurman or Mikey next. No other will do. Yeah, no other will do. No other. It needs to be a big name. It needs to be a big, meaningful fight. I do think. What do you think, Richard? What do you think about Josh Taylor and Crawford? Would you think that's an acceptable fight, or do you think, nah, that's not acceptable? That's a 140-pounder. That's not an acceptable fight. Maybe people won't be happy with that. Ren X4 says, "Come on, Pac was robbed against Horn." Yeah, I think Pacquiao won that fight, but what we're trying to point out, it was a close fight. I personally thought Pacquiao won that fight, yeah, but it was a close fight. And Crawford made it look easy. Horn isn't a proper boxer; he's a MMA fighter. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Horn was a very roughhouse guy, came in with wild tactics, but nevertheless, he made it a tough fight for Pacquiao. Ahmed says Crawford has the gears to beat Spence. If he doesn't want to fight Spence, he can turn to boxing and beat Spence. Crawford gets I don't know. It's a tough one, man. The thing is, what's his name? Spence. He's a big welterweight. He's big, strong, strapping, and he walks you down. He's a pressure fighter. You know, that's a hard fight, man. That's a hard fight. I favor Spence in that one. I'm going to be honest. Even though Crawford might have the better skill set, I just think his relentless pressure may be too much for someone like Crawford. But again, we don't know. We don't know until these guys fight each other. You know, we need to see these guys fight one another. Until we see them fight, we can't say, right? So Pac was robbed. Jet says Pac was robbed, but it was something like 7-5 Pac. Pac was robbed. It was something like 7-5. Yeah, it was a close fight. Do you know what I mean? I think it was a close fight, but I thought Pacquiao should have got the win. So in that case, Crawford's win was a great win because Crawford battered Horn. It wasn't close. He beat him up. Matthew Martinez says, listening from Chula Vista while at work. Great hearing from you, Matthew. What's up with Billy Joe's surgery? Was it all bull? I don't know. I don't know about that. A lot of people are questioning whether he had surgery. I'd like to think he did have surgery. And, you know, you could tell from his face. His face was caved in. You know, his eye was left, or wherever eye it was caved in. You could clearly see he had a bad well under his eye. His face looked like it had gone in, or his eyes looked like it had gone in. So, yeah, man, that was a bad injury. It was a bad injury. And I think I hope he can get back to his best. I hope he can get back to full fitness. Let's see if he can get back. It's Jules says, for me, even Pacquiao win against Spence, Crawford doesn't deserve the fight, the winner, because he has not beat any top-notch fighter. He should fight Porter first. Well, I think it's not about whether he deserves the fight. He has the other belt, and I think Pacquiao himself would want to fight Crawford because he may want to become undisputed. So I think Pacquiao himself would want to fight Terence Crawford. So I don't think it's about whether he deserves it or not. I think Pacquiao himself will insist for that fight. Just knowing Pacquiao and knowing the kind of competitive instinct that Pacquiao has, I think he's going to want to fight Crawford just because he'd want to be undisputed. So Ren says Horn should have been stopped in the 9th round in other fight. Yeah, he could have been. He could have been stopped. Horn was in big trouble. Big trouble in that 9th round. So Cesar says 60-40 in favor of Spence. Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. That's what I would say. Ren X4 says Bud has got his game plan. Watching Pac's fight, so he knew what to do. Bud avoided Horn's cheap tactics. Yeah, you've got a point. He obviously saw the Pacquiao fight. They had prepared for it. They knew what to expect, and they were prepared, you know. So he managed to use the Pacquiao fight to make sure that he didn't make the similar mistakes. So, yeah, I agree with you. Likestra says, is there something about Crawford's style that made Horn fight easier? Was it a better style matchup than Pac? I think Crawford's bigger than Pac. I think he's bigger. And also, like Ren pointed out, that Crawford saw the Pacquiao fight. He was prepared for those tactics that Horn brings. So I just think he was more prepared. That's it. I think he was more prepared for that fight. So I think that's why, you know, Crawford was able to deal with it a lot better and a lot easier. So I think Spence is scared of Crawford. He had opportunities to sign the contract on a few occasions, other side of his crash. I don't think any fighter is scared. I think it's just about egos getting in the way. If I'm honest with you, Ahmed, I don't think he's scared. So Richard Brown says, I think Taylor v. Crawford would be a good fight to undisputed. Good fight, 2 undisputed 140-pound champs, undefeated v. undefeated. If Crawford can't get the winner of Spence Pacquiao, then Crawford v. Taylor would be another good option. Yeah, it would be. Good fight. Crawford can make... So, Richard, do you think Crawford would beat Taylor as well? And how would you see that fight playing out? Do you think it would be Crawford stops him? Ahmed says Crawford can make adjustments like Mayweather used to. Let's see if he can make it against the top welterweights like a Garcia, like a Keith Thurman. You know, I think that's what people want to see. People want to see him against those guys to see if he can make the adjustments against those type of guys. He possibly can. You know, I wouldn't say he can't. I'm pretty sure he can. Junior Ruiz, is Manny Pacquiao has a chance to knock out Errol Spence Jr. and see a KO? Possibly. I don't really see Pacquiao knocking Spence out, if I'm honest with you. I just think Spence is too tough. And Anthony Joshua is official, and he will defend his WBO heavyweight championship against a mandatory challenger. The fight going to happen September 1st, or else he will be stripped. Yeah, they've already agreed a deal, I think, to fight. Don't want to see Taylor move up to 147 and fight Crawford straight away. Fair enough. I think Taylor needs to build up into that weight. I think Crawford might be a step too far. I think Taylor might need someone like a Lopez, or he needs some fights before, you know, he at 147 before he can fight the top dog. Otherwise, I think it could be a step too far. Crawford on point, says Richard. Crawford will beat him on points. Possibly. I think there's a great chance of that. Richard, I'd like to see Taylor stay at 140 and fight the likes of Teofimo and Loma and Haney. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he should fight. I think he should definitely fight Teofimo. I think they're big fights as well. Teofimo, Lomachenko. I don't know whether Loma would move up to 140. I think 140 might be too big for him. So I don't think that fight will happen. Why are Garcia and Keith Thurman top welterweights today? What are their good wins in recent years that makes them top welterweights? Yeah, good point. Good point. You could say the same about Porter, really. What are his good wins? Cesar says, do you think Pac can at least knock Spence down in the early rounds? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyone can be knocked down, but I don't think so. I think Spence is a lot tougher than Thurman. So I think it's I don't think so. No one has had a close fight with Crawford. Yeah, you're right. You know, he's won quite emphatically. Garcia isn't at all. Yeah. Garcia's now, a lot of people think he's a gatekeeper. He's no longer a top welterweight. So René, I don't see Pacquiao KOing Spence, but he can with boxing IQ, speed, and sneaky punches, keeping him on his toes the whole fight. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. I agree. I think Pacquiao can definitely beat Spence. I think it'll be more points win if he's able to beat him. I don't think he's going to beat. Spence by knockout. Would you like to see a Khan Garcia rematch, Imran? Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I like that fight. I think that'd be great. I think it's probably 4 or 5 years too late for Amir Khan. I think if he had fought him when he fought Canelo, I would have favored Khan to win that fight. Now you'd have to favor Garcia. Mortality Fatal, I like Crawford, but a two-legged Benavidez is a different story. That kid was special. I liked Crawford, but two-legged Benavidez was a different story. Yeah, he had a bad knee, didn't he, Benavidez? You know, he had, I don't know what happened to his knee, but his knee wasn't good in that fight. And Benavidez was a good fighter, no question. I think that's an underrated win because of the fact that he was not 100% because of his knee. But Benavidez was a good, tough fight for him. Jeff Horn was a big welterweight and a tough to stop. That's the fight where I really started to rate Crawford. I mean, who else could stop Horn? I doubt Garcia, Thurman, or even Spence could could stop him. I don't know. I think Spence could definitely stop. Spence for me could stop Horn. I think Spence could definitely stop him. Horn's technically very poor. He's a good, don't get me wrong, he's tough and he's big, but technically he's poor. Yeah, he was shot in the leg. Oh, yes. Now that's coming back to me. Benavidez was shot in the leg. Yeah, everyone's saying that he got shot in the leg. Yeah. God knows how that happened, but you know, that's probably why he was like limping, you know, and he didn't have both his legs. So yeah, that would have been that if he you know didn't have that injury, maybe Benavidez may have been a problem. Where is he now? Is Benavidez still fighting? Jose Benavidez. I know his brother David is a very, very good fighter in that super middleweight, but where's Jose? Is he still fighting? Let's check his box rec. Jose Benavidez. So his last fight was against Crawford. He ain't fought since then. Since 2018, he hasn't fought. Wow. So he's inactive. Very inactive. God knows if he's going to come back or not. He's very, very inactive. Still want to see, still went 11 rounds with Crawford. Yeah, he did go 11 rounds. I agree. Is Horn bigger than Kell Brook? I don't know. That's a tricky one. Kell Brook's massive as well. Kell Brook's big. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Kell Brook's a big dude. Big guy. Yeah, that's a tough one because, like I said, Kell Brook is massive. It would be good to see one of the PBC guys fight Benavidez after he fought Crawford. Yeah, would be, but I don't think we're gonna get that. Benavidez, like I said, hasn't fought since he fought Crawford, so I'm not sure whether he's gonna fight again. So, guys, a nice little live stream there for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna let you guys get on with your day, and hopefully we'll do one on Friday or maybe the weekend or something. We'll do another catch-up live stream. I enjoyed it, guys. I really enjoyed it. These live streams are becoming good. A lot of viewers as well. So yeah, I appreciate it. Enjoyed it. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you. I'll let you know when I'll do the next live stream. Hopefully I'll put it up. So just, and Richards, nobody talking about Barrios v Davis for the WBA regular. Barrios can hit. Yeah, Barrios is big as well. That's a tough fight. Davis, Barrios, I'm waiting. That's a good fight. I'm looking forward to that one. I've got Davis, but I won't be surprised if Barrios is too big and strong. You know, who knows? Benavidez could have been very good if he wasn't for a shot in the. He used to spar Khan and yeah, I remember that. But he got shot and wasn't the same. Peace, Lykestra. Have a good day. Enjoy your video. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Take care. God bless. Richard Brown. Take care, Richard. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next live stream. Take care, guys. Take care, everyone. Smash the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream.